everyone, and welcome to Medford Happenings, a show for and about the city of Medford, and I am John Petrella. And the purpose of this program is to give Medford citizens facts and information to help you make informed choices and to discover city services or businesses you may not have been aware of. And our guest today is Jenny Graham, who is the Vice Chair of the Medford School Committee and also the Chair of the Medford High School Project. I want to welcome you to the show, Jenny.
Thanks for having me.
I want to thank you for your leadership and efforts on this project. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, we're going to get right into it, all right?
I know you have a lot of questions for me.
Yes. Yeah, we do, Jenny, we do. So most people know you as a member of the school committee, and now the person heading up the high school project. You got a lot on your plate. But can you share a little more about yourself with our listeners? Who is Jenny Graham?
Sure. First and foremost, I'm a mom and a wife. My family doesn't see much of me right now, but they still do mostly remember what I look like. I have two kids. They both are at Medford High. Lila is a junior, so she's going to be thinking about what's next soon here. And then Lucas is a freshman. So we've been in Medford for 20 years, and I grew up in southeastern Massachusetts, down in a teeny tiny town that didn't have a stoplight or a Dunkin' Donuts near Fall River in New Bedford.
Sad.
Right? They have both now. It's grown considerably.
Yeah.
But I also own a business. I'm the CEO of a growing consulting firm.
Nice.
We do operations improvement, change management, and learning programs for corporations, lots of healthcare companies, and actually lots of work in state and federal government.
You got a full plate. That's what we call it. Very full.
Yeah.
Wow. And you took on this. This is great. All right. So, the high school project committee was created about 3 years ago. Can you update some of our listeners on what the committee, has completed so far?
Sure.
And, what project milestones do you see still need to be addressed?
Sure. So we were invited into what they called the feasibility, the eligibility phase, right? So the MSBA puts out annual applications, and we were selected in December of 23. So in 2024, we formed the committee and we started the eligibility phase. About 3 to 5 choices, and then the rest of the feasibility study will be diving deep on those 3 to 5 choices. So if you look up on go through these slides, what you'll see is there's like sort of bigger blowups of each of those things. So there's many, many, many options. Our site's really complicated because we have a giant building right now.
Yes.
So it's a big site, but because we're going to build right back here, we have to think about, like, how do we educate students while we're disrupting the apple cart, so to speak.
Yep.
So all of that is happening in feasibility. Just recently, the reason that we're moving pretty quickly, right? Like, if you look from one to the next, to the next, to the next, you can see a pattern, but it's going to take some work. So we'll get down to 3 to 5. And then by June, we will select a single option.
Okay.
The MSBA will have to agree with that option. Along the way, they'll give us feedback about our educational plan and our choices and what they think is ideal. And then once they approve our submission of that single choice, then we'll dive deep into that choice, right? So this next part of feasibility gets us a little bit deeper on 3 to 5.
Yep.
And then once we pick one, then we go real deep, right? And that is what ultimately leads to, like, construction documents and real costs and real reimbursement and all of that good stuff. So all of that to come. But right now we're in this, like, we have options phase.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. That was a great answer, by the way.
Thanks.
A lot of information in there. All right. This next question, it's kind of a long one.
All right.
So a school building can be considered a tool. And always with the goal of providing an environment that supports the education of students. So I guess how will we know what we are getting for an investment of, I don't know, between $700 and $1 billion, I guess, 700 million to a
Yep.
billion. And, will it be merging with the vocational high school curriculums together? Improvement in educational outcomes, math, reading, comprehension, history. Are there other metrics that you consider? I know
Yeah.
it's a lot for one question,
I'm
but
gonna take a shot at it, and at the
Okay.
end, you can tell me if I missed anything.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
So I think the first thing is, this is more than a high school, right? Like, this building, even today, is more than a high school. And you know that if you come here on a Saturday, we're sitting in a studio that supports local access programming. That is not part. You don't go to school here. I don't go to school
it
here, and here we
supports
are.
us. You're right. Yeah, it's a great thing.
There's a whole bunch of things that happen in this building, and that will continue to be true. So, a
Okay.
couple things about this project. Yes, it's a high school. Yes, it's a combined comprehensive and vocational high school. It is also our district-wide welcome center. It's the home of the Medford Family Network. It's the home of our municipal daycare. It's the home of our central administration for the schools. It's the home of like a huge source of field playing space
Yep.
in the city, right? And it's like a community hub. You see that anytime you're here on
Right.
the weekend, right? So all of those things are happening. In addition to all of that, this project is also looking to bring students who currently go to Curtis Tufts
Right.
onto the campus in a specialized component of the building that meets their programming needs, but gives them access to be part of this community, which is really hard for them to do right now because they have to come from clear across the city, right?
Yes. Yep.
So that they will come onto campus. The other thing that we intend to bring onto the campus is all of our pre-K programs, which right now are sort of scattered, like all across the city.
Yeah.
And you probably have heard people say our elementary schools are busting at the seams, right? So
I've heard that.
You've heard that. Okay.
Yes, I have.
So this project also solves that problem. So
Okay.
this project, what it will do is it will bring all of those programs, all those pre-K programs into one place, which is better for programming and access to staff and services for our pre-Ks, right? For our littles. And it will create space in our elementary schools that they need in order to continue to
see.
support students,
Okay.
right? So I think of this project, it's much more than a high school. Obviously, it is a high school,
Yes.
but it's also a project that will prevent the city from having to do many more other projects once we're done with this, right? Because we won't be saying, gee, the Roberts is busting at the seams, we need to expand it. Gee, the Missituck is busting at the seams, we need to expand it, right? So
Yeah.
we're pushing that off in a significant way by the strategic choices that we've made to try to bring those things here on this
So
campus.
you're going to give yourself more room in those schools
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
part of the plan. Okay, so that's the first thing. This is more
Right.
than a high school.
Right.
In terms of metrics, right? Like there's, I have a degree in finance from Babson, so I like metrics, I like numbers,
Yes.
I like ROIs, right?
Okay.
But education is something more than just that which can be measured, right? Like it's the
Correct.
foundation of our democracy, and it's like the place where you get to send your kids so they can have a better life than you got to have, right? And so it's the beginning of all of that.
Right.
And it's arguably the biggest thing the city does for its residents. So there's a million reasons that are foundational and hard to measure to invest in schools. But also schools are a huge investment, right? There's lots and lots of money that is spent on school and
Yes.
education, right?
It's the biggest part of our budget.
So it is the biggest part
Yep,
of our budget.
yep.
And so some of the things that I think about, how will we know this worked? It'll be a couple things, right? The number of space heaters in the building, 0. The number of bootleg air conditioners, also 0,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Our monthly utility bills from mid-January to mid-February were $162,000 for this building. Not for the district,
Right,
for this
just for the building.
right?
Yeah, I understand.
So all of those things have an opportunity to get better, right? So our energy consciousness, our spending, all of those things change when you bring in a new building. But I think the other thing that's going to happen as we do this, yes, the vocational programs will continue to be integrated. We're doing a lot of that work already and not waiting for the building.
Right.
But what will have to wait for the building is some of the new programming where there's lots of demand, and expanding the programs we have so we can reduce the wait list and give the kids the education that they want, right? But more, as importantly, when we talk about educational outcome, right? One of the things that we did when we started the educational planning work in this phase is we had a multi-day meeting. We had teachers, students, administrators, everybody in a room. And it was really fascinating to listen to the students because they said things like, I take a break in every class. And we're like, why is that? I just need a break. Okay, I can kind of get that. Well, I don't take a break in my CTE classes. Well, why not? I don't want to miss anything. And what came from that as we sort of poked and pushed, right, was our students want to know why they're learning things. They want the learning to be tangible. They want to understand how they'll use it. And they want to be able to experience it. And a lot of what happens in our building right now is kind of inhibited from being able to do that.
Okay.
Because our classrooms are smaller than what a typical classroom is, what MSBA wants us to build. Our science labs are too small to meet safety standards. Our CTE spaces are not big enough. So all of these things, like we're sort of maximizing everything we can right now.
Right.
And this building gives us a chance to sort of do better than that, right? Do better than doing more with less.
Okay.
But I think in providing that extra space, it's going to allow the freedom for teachers to really get into that experiential part of learning, which is the future.
Yep.
Like, you know, in the future, like I remember them saying, well, you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket, right? Well, guess what, folks? We do, right?
We do now.
And so part of the future is not about memorizing, you know, facts and figures.
Yep.
It's about critical thinking. It's about learning to work together. All of that is really hard to do in a space that's not built for that. And so for me, the educational outcomes and the improvement are going to come for two reasons. One, because the central office team is dedicated to that. And two, because we're making it easier for everybody to like do the things that are going to sort of generate that improvement.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah.
How'd
It's
I
important. You did good.
Okay. All right.
I mean, to me, the education, you know, what these kids, it's about the kids. And I know you know.
Yeah.
You agree with that, and the answer, you know, took that into consideration.
The other thing I'll mention just before we move on is there is a cost of doing nothing, right? And I always thought that would be a big number, but now we know what the number is. Like the cost of simply bringing this building up to code and doing nothing else about the education that I was just talking about is $438 million.
Okay.
And the MSBA will not pay for one penny of that. So if we were to choose that option, we're on our own.
Right.
$438 million.
Not good.
Which is, that's not how I want to spend $438 million anyway.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation. It really is. We need a new school. And I'll say it a million times. No one's going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
It's what are we going to do? How are we going to get there? What works for everybody?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is about the kids.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get personal, but when I went to school, okay, you couldn't get me out of my history class. I could have went to school and just done history all day long.
All right.
That's just how I was.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, I think sometimes if kids really want to learn,
absolutely,
they'll learn.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And there's always going to be like, that was my thing, my favorite class. I wouldn't miss a history class.
Well, and I think the goal of education, right, is that every kid can find their thing.
Correct.
For you, it was history class, right? Like for my kids, they're both in the robotics and engineering program. That's their thing.
Yep.
Like I had lunch at the bistro, like on Friday. Culinary is the thing for some kids. Like you have to want to belong. You have to want to be here, and you have to feel like you belong. Right?
We did a program on the vocational school.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's amazing. I didn't know there was a wait list, but I know everything that's going on over there. It's incredible. They do a great job. So.
All right, what's
next? All right,
next?
yeah, you covered everything. You didn't miss anything.
All right.
There. Perfect. So let's move on. Another interesting question. This, like you said, this is more about the project. So you know, what is included in the dollar amount of this project? I mean, is it just materials and labor for the building? You know, does it include temporary student classrooms? I imagine we need to put them somewhere when we're doing whatever, the construction. You know, the cost of change orders, the cost of the interest on a 30-year bond, you know, is there provisions? I know this is like, but is there provisions for an adjustment to the teachers' union contract? I mean, is everything in that?
Yes, no, not exactly.
Okay.
All right, so let's break it down. So
Thank you.
The total project cost includes construction, materials, labor, escalation.
Okay.
So they are talking about like how long is this project going to take, and what does the escalation trend mean for what materials will cost?
Okay.
Contingency is built into that total project number, right? If modular classrooms are needed for a particular design, that's also included. So the numbers you're seeing right now are largely based on like a couple, very small number of variables, right? Square footage,
Right.
complexity of the construction.
What you're building.
That's kind of it right now.
Okay.
As we go forward, those numbers will be refined, and they're conservative right now because there's so many things we don't know. So those will continue to be refined, and I hope we'll see them kind of come down for lots of reasons, right? So all of that is included in the total project cost number that you're seeing. The interest conversation about the bond that the city will need to take out in order to pay for the project, that is not in this number. Where that comes in is, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit later, when you talk about the total project cost, the MSBA will pay for a share of their share of the project, and then the city will have to decide how they're going to pay for the rest, and we will need a bond, right?
Right,
and that
definitely.
there will be a debt exclusion. How big, how small, different conversation completely.
Correct.
But when that number becomes clear, right, how much will the city pay, then you can start to like build calculators and look at things like, with this and what's going on in the market with bond rates and our bond rating, then you can assess the interest, and then you can say, this is what this is going to cost a resident who lives in an average single family home or whatever. So the interest is not in that number, and it will like that will come as part of that like tax calculation.
Right.
And then the third thing you talked about was like adjustment to the teacher's contract. There's nothing in the teacher's contract that I read that will necessitate change to their contract for this new building. And I was part of the negotiating team that did their contract last year, so I've read all like 80 some odd pages of that contract in painstaking detail.
Yes.
So no, there is not a provision for that in this number, but also I don't see that that's something that we need to be overly concerned about. The operating costs of the building are something we'll get to know a lot more about coming up. But that obviously has an impact on the budget. Like if we didn't have to spend $164,000 on utilities every month, that would be good news, right?
Of course.
So all of those things, all of those refinements that will actually like be part of the operating budget are yet to come.
So there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't have the numbers yet.
Right.
It's just,
the financial picture is like muddy right now.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And complicated even when it's not muddy.
Yes.
So I think that's like trying to break that down so people understand. Like I know that sort of everyone wants to know like, what will this cost me? And the answer is we just don't know yet.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, you covered everything on that one too. I mean, incredible.
Okay.
How you're answering them. So.
What else do you have for me?
Well, here's the other one. Okay.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So. I'm going to say we have heard, but I'm going to start off what I have heard. I don't know. The Mass Building Authority, okay, from what I understand, will be reimburse the city for up to 53% of approved new build and approved renovation costs. Can you walk us through how the Massachusetts School Building Authority, which is the MSBA, I mean, how do they determine?
Yeah.
To me, that's like it's a big one. How do they determine? I know it's complicated, but how do they determine the final amount of the reimbursement to us, and you know, when will we know where we stand on that, Jen? Is it, you know, is that?
All right, I'm gonna try to break this down. Bear with me. Okay. First of all, it's not exactly true that they'll reimburse 53%.
Okay.
Okay. The first thing is we actually don't know what they'll reimburse just
all right.
yet. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So that number though is the number that they are reimbursing us for the feasibility phase. So the work that we're doing right now, the money we're paying the architect to design this building and our OPM, right? They are paying 53% of those costs, right?
Okay.
So that 53% takes us through the feasibility and schematic design phases. We don't yet know what the construction number will be, but their formula for that is set out in state law so that it's clear to everybody. So there's sort of a base percent that every community that builds with them gets, regardless. And then there's like an ability to pay component of this that adds to, right? So we take the base and then we add to based on ability to pay, which is based on community income, property wealth, and a community poverty factor. So all three of those things shift that base rate, right? With the idea being that if you are a community who can afford to pay for your own building, they want you to do that, because what the MSBA wants to do is make sure that they're also supporting communities that can't afford to pay, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So that sort of collaborative number gets us to another number, right? That's what the 53% is like roughly about. That's the 53% was that calculation when we set the feasibility study number.
Right.
We have other projects going on with the MSBA, and that same number is actually slightly higher on those other projects based on this same formula, but things change, right?
Okay.
So all of that will be recalculated, and then you can earn incentive points. And so the MSBA says there are things that they want to encourage people to do, and they will provide additional points. So I think like the easiest one to understand is they gave us this huge survey back in eligibility about our maintenance practices. They want to know that we'll maintain this thing when it's done, right? And we answered like, I don't know, 40 or 50 questions. We had to provide them documentation and job descriptions and all kinds of things. Based on all of that, we can earn up to 2 percentage points. And there's like a whole rubric about how that happens.
Right.
But there's like 5 or 6 reasons why you can earn incentive points. So all of that also goes in. Then they get a number, which they'll tell us about specifically like next year at this time. That number, whatever it is, hopefully higher than 53%.
Right, yep.
Is then applied to the portions of the building that they will cost share in.
Okay.
So they also have rules about what they will pay for. And the easiest example is they will not pay for a pool. So if we want to renovate our pool, if we want to build a new pool, we can do all of those things in various ways, but they will not cost share. So they'll take like the total project cost and they'll basically split it and say, these are the things we'll pay for and these are the things we won't. Medford pays for all of these things. These are the things we'll apply that number to. Yeah. All of that is like, February, March next year is when we'll know all of that.
Well, you broke that down nice and simple.
Right,
I like that.
Good.
Very nice.
But one more thing.
Sure.
Once that happens, right, we will then know like what's Medford's number. And then from that number, the city then will need to say, how will we pay for that?
Okay.
And so when you talk about what that could look like, yes, there will be a debt exclusion, but what else are we paying right now that's going to like roll off our bond service? So for example, let's say we're paying, $2 million a year in a bond and interest for another building.
Okay.
And that finishes, 3 years in. Can we assume we will roll that payment into this and take down the amount that we need to raise for this project? Or we're going to put up a big development in Medford Square. Some portion of that can be attributable to paying for this project. Okay. So the city is doing a lot of work right now to sort of get ready for those conversations. They're talking to their bond counsel. They're looking at the payment schedules of everything.
yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of work from a city planning, development, economic development, bond council. All of that also is sort of working alongside of this project,
Okay.
or needs to be.
Yep. All right, so next question. You know, the project manager. You know, what is the role of that, the owner's project
Yep.
manager? And have we hired it? We hired someone,
Yes.
right?
Yep, we have.
Okay, so that's all set.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm sure they've had experience. They've done.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so Left Field, they are
okay.
they are an owner's project manager.
Yep.
They've worked with Medford before. They are an owner's project manager who builds K-12 schools.
Okay,
Okay.
that's
So
what I
this is
thought.
like this is their space.
Okay.
They did the Waltham project.
Yep.
They did the South Shore Tech project,
Yeah, I've heard
which
of
is
them, yeah.
like a little bit ahead of us. You know, they helped pass a vote in like 11 communities all at once. Like
Okay.
really remarkable work. I think they're also the OPM in Brockton, who is sort of moving alongside of us with their building project. So this is what they do for a living. When we interviewed the OPMs, the thing that stood out about this team,
Yeah.
right, as we picked them, and the reason that we picked them, is they know how to like manage the construction part of the process.
Right.
But they also know how to be a partner and to be our eyes and ears.
Okay.
And they're ready to support us, like whatever we need. They'll be at
Right.
like the Egg Dash tomorrow with us,
Right.
to help tell people
Right.
about the project.
Okay.
So they're just, you know, they're like, we're here to be part of your team, and we're ready to do whatever it is that needs to be done. So that was really important for us.
I mean, I'm, you know, just to finish up on this, I mean that to me, you know, the project manager, to me, they're in charge of
Yep.
the contractors and you
Yep.
know making sure material. So that they're the ones that are actually going to be
Yeah.
the
I'm
boss,
learning,
so to speak.
I'm learning really fast.
Yeah.
But I don't work in construction. So
no,
these
I'm
are
just saying,
these are
that's,
our
'cause
eyes
to
and
me
ears.
that's
Yeah.
the big thing. Who's
Yeah.
you know they
Yeah.
control
Right.
a heck of a lot. So you want someone, and I've heard of them before.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
And then our designer is a company called SMMA.
Okay.
Like they are known for doing big comprehensive
Nice.
schools, right? They did Somerville, they did Waltham, they're doing Lexington. Like
Lexington.
they do
is,
the
yeah,
big
that's
ones,
a
right?
oh boy.
They
yeah.
do the big ones. So they're
Good to know.
yeah. So they this is what they do. So and
Waltham
we that they were selected by a larger panel. So it wasn't Medford that picked them. It was a
All right.
combined Medford MSBA panel who
Okay.
selected them for this project.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
See, this is all stuff. It's
Yeah.
good to know. Jen.
Yeah, and we've been really
I love
happy
it,
with
Jenny.
them all.
Yep.
Like they're, you know,
Yep.
I meet with them every single week,
Nice.
and we're always talking
Okay.
about schedule,
All right.
budget, all those things.
Okay, so to me that was like that's probably the most important. Well, to me it's the most important
Yeah.
question because they really do control a lot. So let's get to the last question.
Okay.
Which you know, what will be the metrics used by the you know the high school committee to select? And then this is another big one: the design, the actual design. For the high school project. I know like right now there's a lot of them. So how do we, you know, what's the metric for that? I'm just.
Yeah. You know, one of the interesting things when we picked this committee, right, there's a series of people that have to be on the committee according to the rules that are set forward by MSBA. And when we looked at that stack, right, like the people that were given, and then we looked at, you know, making sure that the right city resources were on the project. We had some elected officials on the project. We can't do this without our elected officials. We also said we need to have residents. We need to have people who do this for a living on this committee. And we got like 120 applications or something like
Great.
that. So we picked 25 people to be on this committee. We have 15 voting members, 25 people on the committee. And everybody's there with like a different hat, right? So we have educators with their educator hat on. We have architects with their architect hat on. We have people in finance like me with my finance
Right.
hat on,
Yep.
we
Yep.
all and I think the truth is what is compelling me about this project is going to be different than what's compelling you. And that's by design why we have such a big committee, so that we can sort of take all of that in. Like the rubric of like what I value and what you value are different. Just like, if you walk down your street in Medford, every house is going to have, place a different value on
Right.
things like, are we increasing playing fields? Are we keeping the pool? Like all of those things. So I don't think there's going to be a single metric that sort of is like black and white and crystal clear,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
I don't think that exists,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Okay.
But we are trying to make sure we're hearing from lots of people across Medford. We've had several community forums. We've had like 2 community forums, 2 teacher forums.
Right.
We have 3 more community forums scheduled.
Coming up, right?
Yeah.
Coming
So
up.
all of those things, right? And we have lots of like ways for people to like provide their input and feedback in written form. One of the interesting things, if you look at those 29 options,
Right.
we have done the same exercise multiple times where we've given people like dots, like sticker dots, and said, just put them on the ones that appeal to you.
Right.
We actually kind of agree about which ones appeal to people,
okay.
like visually,
Yeah.
even though there are some, there are lots of choices. Like there's a whole swath of them where it's like no stickers in like 4 or 5 events.
Okay.
So I think that just goes to show you, like, yes, everyone values something different, but when presented like with a common set of information, I think we kind of agree on more than we disagree on, right?
Okay.
So I don't exactly know where the committee will go as we make these decisions. I'm one vote, like I'm the chair, but I'm just one vote. Like
Right.
I can go down in flames in a single vote just like anybody.
Okay.
But I think the big thing for me, like what's driving me is it's a value conversation, right? Like I don't want to spend 1 penny on things that will not be used. So if we're going to add a space, I want to feel confident that that space will be used and loved and maximized,
Okay.
right? I do want to spend though in such a way that we avoid having to do more costly projects down the line. I want to spend to maximize this space that we have,
Right.
because we're land poor in Medford, right? Like the city doesn't own much. So
No,
we have to
unfortunately.
make
Yeah.
the most of the spaces that we have.
Right. Yep.
So like, how do we fix the problems that we have on this campus? How do we create a better environment for students? And how do we make this like a place that the community feels part of, right? Like, and I think that's becoming more of a thing for this building, especially with some of the work the vocational students are doing. But this is our flagship building in the whole community.
Right. Yeah.
And people should feel proud of this building. They
Right.
shouldn't drive up and go, ooh, like they
No, I
should drive
hear
up
ya.
and be
Yeah.
like, all right, like we're
No, I
here.
hear ya.
And so I think, for me, it's about value. I want to be able to justify how we are spending our money, which I think is super important. But I also I want kids to want to learn in it, right? Like,
Yes.
you don't want to send your kid here and have them be like, it's kind of like a prison, Mom,
Right. No,
right?
that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
The learning environment.
Right,
I always
right,
say.
right.
Yeah.
So, and I think along the way, the other thing that's driving me from a value perspective is we will continue to teach kids in this building through the entire project, my own included.
Yep.
And we need to make sure that we are making it okay for them too.
That's
right?
a big thing. Yeah, that's a real big thing.
And it should be better than just okay.
Right.
Like I know people hate modular classrooms.
Yeah.
I hate them because they're throwaway. So they cost a ton of money and it's throwaway.
Yeah.
But you know what modular classrooms have? Heat and air conditioning. We can't say that for some of our
Right.
classrooms.
No. I hear you. I hear you.
So,
Yeah.
when we talk about value, there will be disruption, but how do we make
Of
sure
course.
we need to have our eyes on the future and the now at the same time. So really starting to think about how do we operationalize this? The OPM has what they call a move manager, and that person will help us think about all of the phasing, where people have to go, how classrooms get moved. All of that stuff is yet to come. But, we're thinking about it all the time. this is, this is why, like, I wake up at 5 a.m.
I'm
like,
sure.
I didn't send these 25
Yeah.
emails and I
Yeah.
haven't talked to these people, and I need to get this thing done, because it is a big project and
It's huge.
it's so important and it's exciting,
No, I'm sure it is. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I'll say it a million times. Everybody wants a new high school. I don't think there's any
Good.
doubt. How you get there, Jenny? That's
All
what it's
right.
going to be all
Yeah, yeah.
about. And I just want to get back to one thing, which I didn't even know. I was aware there was, like, I think it's 25 people. And
Yep.
what you said was great. It's a good mixture, and I love that. All different opinions, but so the people know when you say voting, there's 10,
15 voting members.
15. Okay,
Yep.
I just
Yep.
want to make sure everyone's
Yep.
aware of that.
Yep.
So those 15, all diverse, all from all over the place. They're gonna, I mean, it's gonna get whittled down.
Yep.
And then they're gonna make the decision.
Correct.
And the other thing I have to throw in here is I didn't realize, I mean, the MSBA really has a huge part in this.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
They're really
I mean, they're our partners, right? Like,
that's, I see.
they
I
do
didn't-
this for a living.
They are really,
Yeah.
really into this, which
Yeah.
is good, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, they're also looking at, the broader portfolio across the state, right?
Right,
And they
yeah.
know, like, if they start reading our educational plan, they could say, like, gee, Medford, like, we read this in your plan. This other school is doing that. Go chat with them about how they're doing it.
Okay.
It might inform how you design this building or
yeah.
what you place next to each other, right? So I think I'm looking forward to their feedback. I think there'll be, like, lots of it, and I don't think that means it's bad, right? Like, I think
Right, no, that's-
lots of feedback makes for a better project. Yeah.
No, I just, like I said, I know they're involved. They
Yeah.
have to be, but I mean, if they don't like something, they're going to let you
They'll
know.
tell us.
Basically,
They will.
That's what a
Yeah.
partner's supposed to do,
Right,
right?
right,
So,
right.
I mean, the show has come to an end.
All right.
And we kept you here a long time.
That's okay.
No,
anytime.
and I really, I want to thank you, so much, because I think what you did today on this show was great. I think people got a lot out of it, and I think you educated a lot of people
I hope
in
so.
Medford. So no, you did.
Okay.
So
Well-
I really want to thank you.
As this project goes forward, if you want to talk again about something else that's happening
Yep.
on the project, just let me know. I'm happy to do this again. And I'll be looking for volunteers to help me knock on doors. So I'm gonna
Okay.
put your name on my list,
Yep.
and we'll
We'll be
talk.
thrilled to have you back again. No, we will.
Good,
We'll have you back. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
So anyhow, thank you
Awesome.
again for joining us
Yeah.
on Medford Happenings.
thanks for having me.
And I'm going to be honest, we wish you continued success,
Thank
Jenny.
you. Thanks.
In for the whole project and everything else. We want it to be successful. So thank you again.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
All right, so I also now have to take a minute to thank everyone who has been watching the show. We appreciate all the feedback we're getting, and there's been a lot of feedback, which is a good thing. So if you would like to appear on Medford Happenings, you can contact us at Medford Happenings 02155@gmail.com. And you're going to be able to watch replays of this program on Medford Community Media Access Channel. And you can also check out our website. And I think this is a show really worth taking a look at. MedfordHappenings.com. And you can now either view or listen to our podcast of this program. You're also going to find us on YouTube and on Facebook. We're getting a new site up, Medford Happenings. So thank you, Jenny.
Absolutely.
Really appreciated. For the Medford Happenings team, myself, of course, Paul, Marco, Bruce, and James. Thank you all so much. I'm John Petrella, and remember, Medford, stay informed. Ta-da!